Good morning, everybody. This is Karen. I was asked to show how someone can type some words, weld them together, create a shadow that is also welded, and then put those two sets of words in different areas of the mat so she can cut them with different colors of paper. And she would be using Cricut Craft Room and her Expression 2 machine. So to get started, I'm going to go into my text area, which is right here. You might have had your mat displayed, so just click text up over here and then click add new text box. Once you've clicked this box, you can also decide on the text size you want to use. You could also decide on your letter spacing, but you might want to see that after you've actually typed the text. I'm going to use a letter size of 2 inches, and I'm starting with the font shadow layer, and I'm just going to type a few words. That actually ends up a little bit too big, so let's do 1.5 inches. So all I did is I typed in the value that I wanted here, and then I pressed enter. So from here, I'm going to click done. I'm going to right click and ungroup the letters. And then I can select the individual letters, and using the arrow buttons on my keyboard, I'm just moving the letters over until they're slightly overlapping. Actually, I'm going to overlap them a little bit more than that. They're going to look a little bit exaggerated, but this is the shadow layer, so that's fine. And you want to make sure that you do have them overlapped a little bit more than it looks that it should be okay, because once you place your regular letters over this, you will need it to be overlapping by this much. I'm just moving all those letters over. And the reason that I use the arrow keys instead of dragging with my mouse is because this way I keep the words, I should say the letters, lined up exactly across the bottom. I don't need to worry about whether they're still straight. And the last letter. And I'm just holding down the arrow key so that it just keeps moving until I get close, and then I can let it go, and then I can just nudge it bit by bit. And that looks like it should be pretty good. I'm going to now group these together. All I did is I held down my mouse button and I dragged a box around it. When I let it go, everything is selected, so then I can right click and group. And the reason I wanted to do that is so that I could move all of this over so that it's closer to the word few. And this way it moves it all together at the same time. It's a little bit slow, but it's going. Excuse me. So there we go. So that's done. I'm also going to group these so that nothing moves once I'm working with the base layer. And now I'm going to add a layer so that I can add my base layer. This is a different color, and that's what we need because we want to see where the letters are going to show up on top of the shadow. So I'm going to choose the basic font. I'll click add a new text box, and I'm going to make this 1.5 so that it's the same size. I typed in 1.5 and I'm pressing enter. I'm going to type in the same words and click done. Now you see that they're not exactly lined up, so I'm going to move the phrase down. From here I'm going to right click, ungroup, and then I'm going to take my letters and drag them up over the shadow layer so that I can see how I want them placed. You can zoom in on this so that it's easier to see. And then you can see how the letters look. And when you're happy with them, let them go and go get the next letter. And you see now why I did the exaggerated overlap, because look at between the F and the E, and that's just slightly overlapped. Now here's the W in words and the O. And with Cricut Craft Room, by default, when you overlap letters, they're welded. So you don't need to click weld. It's done for you. The only time you need to click here is if you don't want them to weld. That makes it easier to weld items like this. There's the R and then the D. And then the S. I now want to just look over and see if everything's okay. I'd like this W down a little bit, as well as this D, just slightly, just being a little bit fussy. But you do want things the way you want them. And this W can go over just a little tiny bit. And that's looking good. So I'm going to go back to I'm going to hide the yellow layer by closing the eye, and I can just take this green layer and move it down. It's still welded, and the letters are grouped together, so don't worry about that. And when I turn the yellow layer back on by opening the eye, I now see the yellow words separated from the green. So now I'm just going to move my A on the yellow layer over a little bit so that it's not right on the edge over here. And I'm going to go into my green layer and move these green words down so that I'll be able to cut them in a different area of my mat. So I only want the green. Drag it down a bit to here. And now you know that everything that cuts below the middle part of the page, you could put a 6 by 12 inch piece of paper there, or whatever prints, or whatever is going to cut below this line is going to be in one color, and whatever cuts above the line is going to be in another color. So you just move it around on your screen, and then you place your paper accordingly on your mat, and then cut it out. And that's all there is to it. Hope that's been helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.